Okay, welcome. Today I'm going to teach you all about conspiracy theories. I'm going to teach you what a conspiracy theory really is. Is it truly what the left calls it is? Is it what the right calls it is? Are they actually just conspiracies that aren't true and made up by crazy people? Or are they facts that the media calls conspiracies to make stupid people not pay attention to them? Well, the first thing we're going to do, before I show you these videos and everything like that, is I'm going to name to you everything that I could think of there's obviously more than this, but I'm going to name everything I could think of things that are proven facts, but the mainstream media has called conspiracy theories to obviously discredit the truth, use their paid-off fact-checkers to go, oh, that's not true, that's just a right-wing conspiracy. Here is a list of everything that has been proven to be a fact, but the media called a conspiracy theory. Saying that COVID did not come from a lab. Saying that COVID was not released on purpose. Saying that hospitals were not labeling deaths as COVID to artificially inflate the numbers. Saying that the 2020 election wasn't rigged. Saying that the Hunter Biden laptop story was fake. Saying that Russia did steal the 2016 election. Saying that COVID lockdowns saved more lives than COVID killed. Saying that the government was not forcing the vaccine. Saying that natural immunity wasn't real. Saying that social media was not censoring election facts, COVID facts, or conservatives in general. Saying that black people don't commit more crimes than any other race. Calling the trucker convoy an anti-vaccine riot. Calling January 6th a riot, claiming that Trump faked his assassination attempt, and that it was just shrapnel from the teleprompter and not a bullet, saying that ballot boxes are not biased towards conservatives, saying that ChatGPT was not biased against conservatives and white people, saying that BLM protests instead of riots, and saying that they're not corrupt, saying that Biden is cognitively fine, but Trump is the one with cognitive issues, calling Antifa an idea and not an organization, saying we are not in a mental health crisis, specifically men, even though men have far more mental health issues, saying that COVID restrictions were not for control, even though they scared people to the extent of driving with your mask on, wearing 2 masks, the fact that politicians could take them off but you can't, wearing them alone in your car, wearing them standing but not sitting, wearing them if you play an instrument but cut a hole in the mouth, and so much more. Saying that the government wasn't trying to make you comfortable with less freedoms, even though they were. The whole purpose was to take away as many freedoms as possible to see how much you'll accept. Being locked in your house, no immunity in your body, more psychologically traumatized and lonely, more damage, hence why kids born around that time all have severe social damage now, why adults had severe social damage and turned to AI because of loneliness and isolation. All of that was to make people okay and adjusted to handing over their freedoms to the government. That is a list I wrote, like I said, of things that are true, but what the media said, no, it's not true, no, it's not true, no, it's not true. Now, here is why this happens. On the face of it, of course, the media doesn't want people to know that that list of things are true, right? They want to hide it. They want... It's very important in modern culture, especially this woke SJW culture, to push lies as much as humanly possible. I mean, if anybody's been watching my videos for any length of time, you know that. I have this great video here called Truth About Brainwashing. I break down heavily in this video what brainwashing is and how it's done in modern day and what they're brainwashing you to believe. For example, how they're brainwashing you to believe that everything I listed there is in fact a conspiracy theory and not a fact, right? Like, again, there's this video here about the 2020 election where I prove that it was in fact rigged. Another one here about ChatGPT. I talk about AI and what ChatGPT was really being used for. The Giver is one of my really good videos that you should definitely check out. So The Giver, in this video I explain what The Giver is. It's a book and a movie. but I explain how it heavily applies to our modern world and SJW woke culture. And the movie does represent what the elites in the media in Hollywood want our modern world to be like. And ever since I made this video in 2017, our world has become more and more like The Giver. So like most of my predictions, I ended up being right. And it is going to get worse as time goes on. Another example is actually just this playlist. So I have a playlist here called the Matt's FTR Was Right series. And what this is basically each video is a clip from one of my older videos where, I mean, sure, it's true that most of my videos are right, but this playlist is meant for like the big moments where I point out what I was right about. So, talking here about fact checkers, this one's about the 2020 election. Elon Musk took my idea about COVID, this one was about censorship, how they view conservatives, how they censor conservatives, the Hunter Biden laptop story, lockdowns, the microchips, diversity, and so much more. This is a playlist of videos where I point out things that the media will call conspiracies, but I ended up being right about, and then I prove it, and then I just pointed out in that video. So anyway, that's what those videos are. I'm just gonna leave it here on the brainwashing one because that's the best one. Trust me, fucking watch it. But let's now talk about conspiracy theories and what they really are. Again, the list I read at the beginning of the video is what the mainstream media will call a conspiracy theory, even though all of that stuff was true. The real conspiracy theory is the belief that that list is a conspiracy theory. That's what the truth is. The media wants to, in our modern SJW woke culture, they want to hide facts about the government, about COVID, about race and racism, and how white people are treated horribly, but yet we're called the horrible ones. Everything in our modern Western culture is done for the purposes of brainwashing, manipulating, and dividing people. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Everything is meant for division. The most basic example is either the gender war or the race war. In another video, I have a lot of videos, I have a video called The Truth About the Gender War. It's in my FTR playlist. Watch it. In this video, I break down very heavily how when it comes to modern SJW woke culture and feminism and men's rights activists, we know, anybody with a brain knows that modern feminism has nothing to do with equality. Nothing. It is about female supremacy. However, even though women are treated better in modern day, way better, women are still told that they're oppressed. So what this does is it gets into the brains of stupid people to believe that you are oppressed, so go hate men. Go hate men because you're oppressed and they're the ones oppressing you, while being treated better. Men see that women are treated better in modern day, but are still called the victims. Men actually are the victims, but we're being told we're privileged. This is not a coincidence. This is not based on how things were in history. What's happening is these things are being told to you on purpose. It's all planned. It is planned. It's premeditated. The idea was to treat men like shit and call them privileged, and treat women like gold and call them victims. The purpose of this was to create a clash between men and women so that we hate each other. That's why in modern day, women are terrified of men, thinking that all men are rapists and attackers and afraid of us, won't talk to us, calling us rapists if we shake your hand, and all kinds of crazy shit. And also why men have decided to leave the dating world and just be alone. There are more single people now than ever before. There are less marriages now than ever before. And it's because of the gender war that was artificially created to turn men and women against each other. It's the exact same thing with the race war. Treating white people like garbage and telling us that we're privileged. Treating black people like gold and calling them victims and underprivileged. All of the... it doesn't matter what the mainstream media says, or what Hollywood says, or what the woke SJW culture says in the school system. If you look at facts, We know that white people are treated worse than black people in modern Western day. But again, it's all artificially created. It's caused white people who are treated like shit. We're not even allowed to like walk down the street without getting dirty looks from black people because the mainstream media said white people evil, 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 non-fucking stop. And that gets into the heads of stupid people. So now black people hate white people just because we exist and the mainstream media told them to. And white people have become bitter towards black people because we're like, why do you hate me? I didn't fucking do anything! So now there is a clash between white people and black people that is artificially created. And if you look at the facts, it's a total opposite of what is shown. Conspiracy theories work in the exact same way. Everything is done for the opposite. The mainstream media has decided to call anything that's a fact a conspiracy theory, to brainwash stupid people into not believing in facts and saying, if you want real research, don't look at the facts posted by someone who's clearly a right-wing Alex Jones-loving conspiracy theorist Nazi. Listen to us. We're the media. We know best. Listen to what we tell you. Listen to our fact checkers who we clearly don't pay off, even though we do. Listen to them. No. You don't understand. It's the right who is evil, okay? The only mainstream media that's bad are the right-wing sources. No. Ignore the facts, okay? I know that only 5% of the media is right-wing and 95% is left-wing, but no. You don't understand how statistics work. It's very obvious that 5% is what's the brainwashing. You see, the less people doing it, the more power there is in brainwashing. Trust me, bro. We're the media. Trust me. So as I was saying, yes, I'm aware that 95% of the entire mainstream media is left-wing, but it's the 5% who's brainwashing you. I'm CNN. Are you going to believe me? Please believe me? Now, granted, some people are waking up and realizing that the left is more corrupt than the right. But the reason why the left has had such a grasp on everything for such a long time is not because they're less corrupt. Again, the media told you that, but it's not the truth. The real reason is because they control everything. All SJW woke culture is left-wing and being pushed by literally every single system in the world. The entire Hollywood, all of Hollywood, is left-wing. Mainstream media is left-wing. The school system is left-wing. Social media is left-wing. All social media sites, Google, YouTube, etc., they're all left-wing. Everything is left-wing. So of course they have the most power. Not because they're just better and smarter, but because they are the ones in control. This is the reason why 81% of Western culture disagrees with woke SJW ideals. I think it's gone up now, but approximately 19-20% of the world agrees with woke SJW culture ideas. But if it's only 20%, why are they the ones in control? Why are they the ones in control of Hollywood, the school system, and everything we see? Because again, it doesn't matter what people agree with. What matters is the powers that be want lies and manipulation and brainwashing ideals to be the norm. They are desperate for woke SJW culture to be the norm, where people don't care about facts and just want to be completely brainwashed and brain dead. So they gave power to what is technically the smallest margin. So while SJW woke culture is the smallest margin, they have the most power because of how they're pushed. It doesn't matter that they are the smallest amount of people. When that power is given to Hollywood, the media, the school system, of course, their power is going to be crazy regardless of how many raw number of people actually agree with it. It doesn't matter. That's the power that they want at the forefront, and that is exactly what has happened. And again, conspiracy theories work the same way. Here's a question for the brainwashed people. Why do you think that every time you believe in a fact that the mainstream media calls a conspiracy theory, they always call you a right-winger. They always call you a right-winger. You're always a right-wing extremist. You're always a right-wing conspiracy theorist. According to the mainstream media, there's no such thing as a left-wing conspiracy theorist. They don't exist according to the mainstream media. Now, in reality, they do. Because if you believe in what the media said from that list I read to you, then the reality is you are a left-wing extremist. You are. If you trust the media, you are a left-wing extremist. If you trust in the lies about COVID, you are a left-wing extremist. If you believe that white people are evil, you are a left-wing extremist and conspiracy theorist. If you believe that men are evil, you are a left-wing conspiracy theorist. If you believe that BLM is good, you are a left-wing conspiracy theorist. If you believe that January 6th was a riot, you are a left-wing conspiracy theorist, and so on. Yes, you are a left-wing conspiracy theorist. That's what you are. But nobody will ever call you that because the mainstream media has control of your brain, and they tell you, no, you're not a conspiracy theorist for believing in us. You're not a left-wing conspiracy theorist for believing in us. You're a right-wing conspiracy theorist if you don't believe in us. Again, they take reality and they flip it on its head and tell you the exact opposite. This is how it works. So again, all of these things are conspiracy theories, but they're all true. Every single one of them. So again, every time a conspiracy theory or a fact that they don't like comes out, they call you a right-wing conspiracy theorist. So like I said, the reality is you are a left-wing conspiracy theorist, but why are you called a right-wing conspiracy theorist? It's quite simple. So, the mainstream media has lied, and they control 95% of the flow of information online, as 95% of the media is in fact left-wing. So, obviously, since they have convinced you that all of the correct information because of paying off fact checkers and in Hollywood and the media and everything, because they control 95% of the entire flow of information, they can easily say, if you don't agree, you're a right-wing conspiracy theorist. Because obviously, if it's 95% controlled by the left, they're not going to call you a left-wing conspiracy theorist, duh, because almost all information you see is left-wing. It comes from the left, so why would they call you that? They're going to hide the reality that you are actually a left-wing conspiracy theorist while calling you a right-wing conspiracy theorist. This is how it works, and it's how it's worked for a long time. And the last thing I want to talk about is how the mainstream media acts when they do eventually admit that something is true. Now, this has happened repeatedly, but I'll just give you a few examples. One example is the Hunter Biden story. When this story first came out and it was proven to be true, the mainstream media, of course, as they are Democratic paid by the left, and had to defend Biden, they would say, no, the Biden family is great. Hunter Biden is not a crack addict, and there's nothing fishy with his laptop, right? And you were called a right-wing conspiracy theorist if you told the truth. However, what happens is, you may have noticed that I think in the last couple of years, the mainstream media did admit that the Hunter laptop story was in fact true. So what happens is, not every conspiracy theory, but a very large amount of them, the media will eventually admit is true. For example, COVID. They started off saying, you're an Alex Jones-loving crazy conspiracy theorist if you believe that COVID was made in a lab and released on purpose. But as of, I think, a year or two ago, they now admit, and even Dr. Fauci admits that that's true. That is literally what fucking happened. So here's how it works. Now, dumb people will be convinced to believe, well, the reason why the media said it's not true and then later said it is true is because they simply got more information and released it. Basically pretending that they're not, basically what they're saying is that the media wasn't lying at first, but they just didn't know. Okay. They actually are lying, okay? Here's how it works. So, example, COVID. COVID was released from a lab and it was done intentionally. We know that. when the media started by saying it's a conspiracy theory, if you believed in that, it wasn't because they didn't know. It was because they did know, but they were supposed to hide that information. So what happens is, it's this big story, right? It's a new story. People have found facts. We all know it was made in a lab. We all fucking know that, right? The media says, no, we can't admit to that yet. And then after 2 or 3 or 4 years, when COVID has died down, nobody's really talking about it anymore, nobody's really scared anymore, it's not a big deal anymore, then the media says, oh, actually it was made in a lab. So what happens is, the main reason why they do this is because they wanted, first of all, they want to take credit for the story. That's the first thing. The first thing is they want to take credit, and they don't like when conservatives are right about anything. So they'll say that conservatives are wrong or liars. And then when everybody forgets, that's what they're hoping for. They're hoping for people to forget. Once everybody has forgotten what the conservatives were saying, because they said it like 3 years ago or something like that, and nobody cares anymore, then the mainstream media swoops in to say, oh, guess what? COVID was made in the lab. We figured it out, guys. We at CNN figured it out. Give us the credit. And someone in the corner said, actually, Fox News said that 4 years ago. Never mind that. We are saying it now, so give us the credit. So that's the real reason, is because they want to take credit for the information that was true all along. And the second reason is because they wait until the story has died down, so that if the media is going to be called out for lying or hiding information, it won't matter anymore because people have forgotten. Going back to, I don't know, the Hunter Biden story, I guess. So, sure, years later, the media will say, actually, the Hunter Biden story was true. The reason why they do this is because if people like me, for example, call out the media and say, hey, you lied, you said that the Hunter Biden story wasn't true and it was, the media can say, what are you talking about? There's an article right here saying that the Hunter Biden story is true. We at the media never said that the Hunter Biden story was false. What are you talking about? It's another way for them to lie. And if someone like me comes out and says, you said the Hunter Biden story was false, they will then say that I'm a conspiracy theorist again for me saying that the media once called it false because they now call it true, and they try to pretend that they've been calling it true this whole time. Just completely disregarding what happened a couple years ago. And if you don't believe me, I'm sorry, but there are multiple examples of this happening. There are multiple examples of the media claiming at first that a story is false, then a couple years later agreeing that it's true, trying to erase history, and then when someone here claims, actually 3 years ago you said it was false, and they go, no, we have an article posted in 2024 saying that it's true. What are you talking about? That 2021 article shouldn't exist anymore. Hey, did you guys take down the 2021 article? You're not supposed to leave it up. Yes, but people proved you wrong by using the Internet Archives. Fuck. So that's why we keep being caught for the liars that we are. Simply put, that's what a conspiracy theory really is. If the mainstream media, what you guys need to learn is that if the mainstream media calls something a conspiracy theory, chances are it is actually a fact. And you'll find out a couple years later. But the reason why people can never notice a couple years later, even when the media does admit it to be true, is because since it's already been 2, 3, 4 years, you forgot. You forgot about the story. You forgot that the media called it a conspiracy theory 4 years ago. You fucking forgot. And now the media can take credit for it, and now the media can backtrack and say, we never called it a conspiracy theory. What are you talking about? I mean, nobody's gonna fact check us on a 4-year-old story, right? So we can just lie and say that we never called it a conspiracy theory in the first place and continue to make conservatives look crazy even though they were the ones who were right. So I hope you learned something. I do hope that the people who didn't know any of this will start to look at reality a bit more closely and really think to yourself, when the media says that's a conspiracy theory, look at the reason why they're saying that. Don't just go, yes, CNN, I agree, it is a conspiracy theory because you told me that it is. I will not ever be a conservative. Conservatives bad, Democrats good. Like, at least do some research. Okay, do some research into the facts about all of these things. It doesn't matter if it's political, the government, the media, SJW woke culture. If they keep trashing white people, check the reason why. If they keep bringing up black people, check the reason why. If they're hiding crime stats, check the reason why. If they're saying that the 2020 election was not rigged, check the reason why. If they're saying that the 2016 and 2024 election was rigged, check the reason why. Don't just believe them, because they lie way more than they tell the truth. For the record.